Um, well, I'll just tell you about it. And we'll have a little
Okay.
presentation. And let me see if I can get this to go full screen. Um, okay. All right. Now I want to make that full screen. Let's see if it'll work. Yes. Okay. So I am recording this part so we can share it with our friends who weren't able to make it. And so I want to say welcome to everyone. And we're going to talk about children. We want them always to be happy, but life for them can be tough. And our point here in the grandparents group is to understand that we can help them. So I thought we'd do the bad news first. This terminology, adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. ACEs are experiences that can traumatize a child, witnessing violence in the home, family member, attempts to die by suicide or something like that. Different other problems that the caregivers are grappling with, including instability in the home due to parental separation. So these things are called adverse childhood experiences, and they can affect a child's development in terms of their mental health to a certain extent, but even their physical health. If they're under stress a long time, that can result in some adult illnesses. I think, from my perspective, of course, the parent emotionally unreachable due to technoference, meaning that there's something called continuous partial attention. And that is the parents always like scrolling and they're like, yeah, yeah. What did you say, honey? And sometimes the child, it falls or something, and then the parent overreacts because they didn't see what happened. And it becomes a mess because the parent is not paying attention to the child. And so I believe this is a new type of neglect that's happening in the world. 3 out of 4 high school students say they have had one or more ACEs by the time they got to high school, and 1 in 5 experienced 4 or more ACEs. Here's the good news. Yay! There's something called positive childhood experiences. Now, this has come along after all the research on negative childhood experiences, but um, this says that these experiences start to outweigh. They actually act. They are stability for the child, and it's really kind of cool because I think it has to do with us. And positive childhood experiences drive healthy development, and they mitigate the long-term effects of the ACEs. And a child can have ACEs and PCEs at the same time. And so that's really kind of nice that even if a kid does have a household that struggles, it's not going to determine their destiny, especially when there are these other mitigating factors in their lives. And strong relationships with family can buffer the negative effects of stress and adversity, which is really great. So just your being there and being a presence to your grandchildren can help their mental and physical well-being. And this says, especially during difficult times. So the research says at least one caregiver who feels safe is going to bolster a child's mental health, and a non-parent adult who can provide advice and just be there as a shoulder and opportunities to have a good time. So kids like to blow off steam and just have enjoyable times that are low stress without, perhaps, I hate to say it, the high stress parent being around. So we can provide that too, which is really pretty exciting. So I'm going to stop this now to see if we have any thoughts about this information about ACEs and PCEs.
Well, yeah, I think I'm living it. Um, but it's, we're quick to say the ex-husband, who we think is a giant douche, um, but he is a good father. There's no
Okay.
hint of him being bad to the child. He just is very committed to being mean to his ex-wife, which, um, you know, it's very wearisome. But, we're it's nice to see what you showed, Jenny, because we do know that there's, I mean, Sloan is getting to that age where this is going to start meaning more to her. Like before, she didn't almost know any different. She didn't know what a household. I mean, they separated when she was not even one. So, um, and I would say for on both sides, the parents and grandparents have been very good with the daughter,
Mm.
and um, it's I mean, she's a happy child. She's
Yeah,
she's
there's no doubt in my mind that you and Lisa are tremendous PCE for Sloan. I mean, and she has a great mom too. I mean, I know Ryan cares, very deeply for her, obviously, but you guys are have been there the whole time.
yeah, but I won't. Yeah, I mean, I and she's we're fun because she comes and we have chickens and she loves to see the chickens and we live on a lake, so she um and so it's all good. But you know the not to get off the track, I'm impressed with how hard single parenthood is. And Sloan's in a really good kind of daycare slash kind of school system in Denver. And she's getting that age where she's got play groups and play friends, and she goes to swimming lessons, and she's got this little community that's forming, um, that's that's been all very, very positive. So
Great. Other thoughts?
I wrote down continuous partial attention because I think it's
yes.
like, yeah, I know what that is. I mean, and we are sometimes guilty of that, where you get so caught up in whether it's a computer or your phone or whatever, and it's easy to do that with, your spouse. It's easy to do that with your kids, It's easy to do that in social gatherings, and you have to just constantly kind of put it away. And in many ways, the only solution is just to put it far away so that you can't really get to it, and just
And you know what, Jerry, what we found, how what's really a special time of day is the pre um, go to bed reading together. Um, and it's because it is so focused, right? And um, one of the things uh, my wife did when Jim Belknap's daughter had a job, is part of the baby shower was everybody brought their favorite childhood book to start the baby's library. Um, and I'm with you, Jerry. I absolutely resonated about that issue. And it just reminded me how locked in at the end of the day, you're laying there, you're cuddling, and you're reading Dr. Seuss, or you're
yeah,
reading Thomas the Tank Engine, or
yeah,
and it's really nice
yeah,
for everybody.
yeah, yeah. Those are great experiences.
And you got it all going on at that time. So it's not just your voice and your shared attention on the book, but it's also the sense of touch and the cuddling that happens then. It's so, so soothing for them and for you. I mean,
Yeah.
Jerry, you're feeling
Yeah,
this now. You're like, what is that weird feeling? And
yeah,
it's love. It's really love. And so yeah, bedtime is really important. I can't believe that they had to do a scientific study on this, but they had to do a study on how to have toddlers, you hear what I'm saying, not use tablets an hour before bedtime. So right away, I'm aghast. Like, what? There are enough toddlers using tablets an hour before bedtime that you had to have a study. So
yeah,
anyway, I actually met this guy, and then now he's done with the study, and he found that if they give them baby boxes, they give the parents baby boxes with books and maybe a few little, I don't know what the activities are, maybe like doing somersaults or something, just something
Yeah.
physical, that's what does it. If the parents are trained and the baby and they have the box and the child has a book, it works for the whole family. And so I'm glad to see that you're feeling it all on your own, that that's a really special time. And really, I mean, we know through intuition that that should be a sacrosanct time. That bedtime is just really, and plus the fact it helps them sleep better. So what you don't want to do is do too many somersaults, I think, because then they get all cranked up, and that's not good at all. But yeah, so I think it's just a matter of our slowing down, because we can always fill our time with something, even like catching up with something on the phone. And so we have to like maybe leave that phone in the hallway for that bedtime time. So it's not even in the bedroom. So that is one of the things that's recommended, is that there be no screens in the bedroom. And what that means is that concludes ours. Take it out of the pocket and put it outside the door and leave it there till you're done putting it to bed.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's good.
Jenny, it strikes me that the end of day thing is probably the easiest for a parent or grandparent to administer. I think it's, during the day. I was going to tell Jerry, because I'm sure Meg has seen this. One of the great epiphanies I had when the grandchild gets to a certain mobile age is how freaking exhausting it is when you are put in charge. Like, Jane will go say, I got to go to the store, Jerry. Can you watch Rome for, oh my God, plan on getting nothing done.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally nothing done. To this day, when COVID hit, I don't know how mothers who were working mothers, when daycares were not open, how they got anything done in their house, because it's just, I mean, and it's not that it's fun. It's just like, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're like, I don't think I did anything today.
You did.
I bring it up only because there is that tug to want to look at your phone and want to know the world's going on. And I've got one eye on somebody playing Legos, or, and it's hard. I mean, that to me has always been the big challenge. Just like, okay, you got to be locked in more than just at bedtime.
Well, at least some of us are, and you are, I know. Meg, I don't know where you are, but retired. I mean, we don't have to go. We don't have to check email at work. We don't have to do a lot of things. Our agenda is our own. And so that gives us some flexibility to not have to always be, a slave to the phone.
Yeah, and I think it's a mindset that you have to be like,
Yep.
okay, I have to put all this stuff aside for 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it is hard. It's hard. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like time sort of stands still if I'm happy to accept that as a reality. And then it's just like so wonderful to focus and just enjoy the unfolding day. And so if it's possible to sort of compartmentalize and put those interests aside till later, till you can catch up. Meg, how do you handle it?
Well, I feel like it's the magic of the grandparent time. I mean, to answer your question, Jerry, I recently retired about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And so it kind of coincided perfectly with, 18 months ago now. So how time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
But it's, I can juxtapose, like, when I was parenting and just trying to juggle all of the things, trying to juggle my own responsibilities, trying to continue to be, a member of my community and do responsible things, and then caring for your kids, and then the plumbing's, something's
Yeah.
leaking, and like trying to focus on kids, but just constantly being pulled by this other stuff. And to me, it's just magical. I mean, like that, little Otto comes over and I'm like, and I joke, I go, Otto, your breakfast is almost plated. And he'll just laugh, he'll come over and I'll sit him down and give him his breakfast. And then I just think, what is he gonna do today? Like, and I'll be annoyed when there's something like, oh, I've gotta, I know I'm expecting a call from somebody on something, or yeah, I serve on a board and it virtually never interferes, but every now and then there'll be something where I need to jump on something for 30 minutes. And it's like, "Oh, this is my time with Otto." And it's hours. I mean, it's hours
Yeah.
and hours. And to me, it's just magical. Just
Yeah.
the stuff that he's doing that I can pay attention to. And I know I'm catching more, so it's this tug of, oh, I remember when my kids did this, but I couldn't focus like this on
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
The way I can focus on it with him. And
Yeah.
so it's, which isn't to say there aren't some days where it's like, oh my goodness, I got to get down on the floor again, but he's getting me in shape.
That is the beauty of retirement. You do really eliminate a big time suck of stuff that you have to do.
Yes.
I mean, that brings its own challenges with it. Then you have to fill that time in, right? But certainly if you have grandkids and, spending time with that, it's just, that's a great way to do it.
But Jenny,
Absolutely.
excuse me, Meg, you said something about just having to like plan for this too. You just gotta know you're gonna set this stuff aside. It
Mhm.
occurred to me while everybody was talking that, granted, our visits with the granddaughter are more, periodic.
Mhm.
That when we know she's coming, we do make plans. I mean, part of it is, what is the activities going to be other than just make it up as you go along? So, Lisa might make cookies with her one day. We take her swimming. You get her outside. Let's, go feed the chickens. We're going to, do X, Y, and Z. And um, as opposed to just being a slave to kind of like, well, we're in the house, you know, at some point, the TV or the laptop or something becomes a topic of interest, right? So you're like, okay, well, how do we? No, we're going to go do this,
Right.
and it helps. I mean, there's a benefit, weirdly, to when they're not in your lives every day. That you're like, okay, we're gonna have things for her to do
Mhm.
when they come
For you to do together.
to do exactly.
And nature, of course, has many, many benefits. And so you're getting her out there in nature where she can just, all of her senses are integrated at once out there. It's a calming thing, it's a bonding experience for you. And so being outside in nature is great. Or even walking somewhere. Like my daughter lives near the library. So we go to the library at least once a week when I'm over there helping her. And that's a really fun outing. So yeah, I mean, I don't think the kids should be booked, 10 hours in a row with different things. But I hear you. Simply walking out to see the chickens is a really fun activity. It takes some time, and yeah. So you do have to. You don't have to, but it sounds like you are willing to give yourself over to the shared experience.
I wish I had
We had this,
chickens.
we had this running joke.
Meg has them.
I got chickens too.
You
Yeah,
got
all
chickens
right.
too? Who's got chickens? I'm the only one who doesn't have chicken.
I don't have
Jenny, do
chickens.
you have chickens? Okay,
It's
all
the
right.
new cryptocurrency, Jer. So
That's it. Oh my gosh.
But one thing that I've noticed I can focus more on is because when we were so busy, like with our kids and working outside the home and everything else, just kind of being results oriented, trying to get this done, this done, this done, this done, this done, like get through your checklist. And I just find with Otto, I can just feel myself surrender to, you know what? Feeding the dog may take 25 minutes. And this is going to be amazing.
This is gonna
He
be,
walks
we're gonna,
over and he's walking over and he's figured out, he now understands like lefty loosey, righty tighty. Like when he's starting to he's starting to open
yeah.
up where the food is. And I said, lefty loosey, buddy. And he like turns it the other way.
Wow.
And then he'll look at me and he wants me to do the flashlight so he can see the kibble in there more clearly and scoop it. And then, we're going to do a half a scoop or a full scoop. And if we do a half scoop, we get to do 2. And I mean, it can take 25 minutes. And at other times, like that would make you crazy as much as you wanted to cherish every minute of it. It's like, I gotta be somewhere in 15 minutes. Like this
Yeah.
can't take 25. And I just find if I can surrender myself to process and surrender myself to what is going on with you, that I just find the time.
You know, you're bringing up something that is a really good idea. I mean, anything can be a learning experience if you turn it into that. If you take the time to think about it and turn it into that. I mean, I love what you're saying, if it's half, you need 2. I mean, you get to early math. Anything is colors, right?
Right.
These basic concepts, if you think about it, and you can make it 20 minutes of curriculum if you do it right. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for that.
There is, and that's why cooking is a great thing that's just
Yeah.
the ways to do chemistry and learn measurements and stuff like that. So it's great, but there's so many other examples besides cooking.
Mhm.
Yep.
And eventually you can make your own Play-Doh and then play Play-Doh all morning.
Mhm.
Bricks and balls and all sorts of stuff. So
Jenny, by the way, having worked at Hasbro, we recommend you buy Play-Doh. We're just don't, because we have all the things worked out, Jenny. We've got it all worked out.
And the colors are amazing.
The
They're
colors are amazing. It
fantastic.
won't go bad after, a certain amount of time.
Doesn't
Not
get all
bad, not in
crusty.
those plastic containers, but it seems to always it always turns to brown with Cooper. So you start out with these gorgeous 5 or 6
That's
colors.
pretty much the way it goes with all of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the colors meld and you get brown.
Right.
Basically.
You got to enjoy it for, the first day or 2. But
Yeah, but then they get to have all the joy talking about poo because all
They
the
do.
color.
That
and
could
it's
be.
great.
which is like, so all that's
Yeah.
still to come for you guys.
Kids love potty humor. They do.
Absolutely.
They do. And that's
And grandpas are pretty good at that sometimes.
Hey,
We
you're
are,
reminding me of going through potty training, which was the most sophisticated incentivized system I've.
Oh my.
Well, Terry, tell the story about how Sloan was withholding because she knew she could get another treat out of it.
That's
During
right.
potty
That's right. It's like you would get like a Scooby-Doo cookie, which was like a little wafery thing when she made pee-pee potty. And suddenly it was like she was going every 15 minutes. Like, and she'd go and you'd see the little potty, and yep, there's a little yellow liquid in there. It's like, okay.
Here
She
you
called
go.
it Gaga. Like, okay. Like, wait a minute.
That's
She was
It
learning.
can't
hilarious.
possibly be this.
So cute.
She was learning to control it. It worked. Oh my gosh, that's so great. They're so hilarious. I know it's not good for us to be manipulated and all that stuff, but it's really pretty amusing to watch how they're smart.
Yes.
I will say, by the way, I don't have chickens, but we have across the street from our house, we have not just a park, we have a children's park.
Oh.
And it's like playground extraordinaire, places to ride your bikes. In the winter, it's got a little slope, kids sled down it. And it's really, you're not supposed to go into the park unless you have a child. There's a whole list of rules on the outside, but it is this tremendous backyard. It literally is right across the street. We just walk across the street and we're there. And so
Great.
I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going
I
to be a great.
cannot wait to talk to you, Jerry, about park-related rules of engagement.
Oh, yeah?
Because there's going to be situations where Rome and Natalie's child are going to be there, and they're going to run into somebody else, and there's going to be disagreement. And there you are as the presumed adult, and like, do I intervene? Do I, I don't know how to handle this. I wasn't taught whether I am.
Yeah.
It's very funny, but you're like, it's also kind of stressful. Like, I don't know, the kid's kind of being a bully, and
Yeah. It's like, well, and let's face it, we're going to be biased in those situations. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
everybody needs the champion, right? So
exactly. But what heaven sent that this is across the street from you.
no
Yes.
kidding.
You're gonna
yeah,
love it. Yeah, you can do so much there, and eventually color walks. We're gonna go find colors. There's no reason for you to do something like that because there's enough playground equipment. You don't have to make up games or anything like that. But it's wonderful.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Now, I guess I could take a little poll with you guys. I did have we were going to try to talk about technology and education. We have enough time for me to go through some information now if you want to see it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we can
Please.
continue our discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And then, and
Go
then we,
for it.
okay, cool. I do, because I'm anxious, because this has come up a couple of times in our last meetings that, hey, we want to know more about this. So you may find this somewhat revealing. Let's see, we'll go back again.
No, it sounds like more bad news first.
Well, I did not differentiate. I didn't differentiate, but I guess it is kind of that way too. So let me just go all the way down here to the next. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Tech and education. Massive influx during COVID. There have been computer labs for a while, as we know.
Mhm.
But suddenly the tech companies rushed in and everybody was supposed to have one-to-one devices as early as kindergarten. And then it was almost like schools were deprived if there wasn't a laptop for every child in the school. Well, that was a little bit premature because this really hadn't been tested much. Now, we can talk about positive uses of screens in schools and skill building for the workplace, typing, spreadsheet creation, robotics, coding, video, music, editing. Yes. Word processing, assisting students with learning differences, and supporting and supplementing teaching with video and other digital materials. Of course, going to the rainforest in a video can be delightful, and you can really learn a lot about the canopies and the other parts of the rainforest. But there are downsides that have been revealed now that the technology is so rampant in just about every school. The federal government is throwing money at schools during COVID to buy more devices. And now the devices are there. Number one, they have to be purchased by the schools now, not by grants, and they're falling apart. And it's a huge part of the budget, and it's stressing budgets. What they're seeing now is if screens are omnipresent, kids can they have underdeveloped social skills, especially when cell phones are utilized in the classroom or allowed in the classroom. Kids don't talk to each other at lunch. They don't talk in the hallways, etc. It's really changed the atmosphere of the school. Some classes and courses are gamified. The kids are working for prizes. They're getting dopamine hits when they get a little spray of stars if they get it right. Well, you can actually get kind of addicted to that. So you don't have this intrinsic drive to get an A. You have this intrinsic drive to get some more stars. And that's an extrinsic drive, excuse me. And also it can be distracting. There are kids on their laptops, if there's uninhibited searching of the internet, they're on YouTube, they're on TikTok, they're looking at porn, especially in middle school. Now, in the last few years, the schools have been getting a little smarter and they've blocked YouTube and some other things, but then kids will go into Google Docs, Google Documents, and they can talk to each other and they can also get out through the Google Docs. So it's tricky business. Health risks, which I've written about for years, eye strain, obesity, sleep loss, overstimulation. And then what nobody really talks much about is the privacy risks that the ed tech companies that sell the software to the schools have kind of a loophole about kids' data. And so they can hoover up the kids' data and resell it to other entities. And so a profile is set up really quickly on each individual child. It's there, and it's all about them. And if the schools aren't careful, this private information can be sold to other entities under the guise of ed tech. Well, it's pretty bogus that it should be private and still private. But anyway, they're getting away with a lot of stuff without legal authorization. The other thing that I learned last year, unfortunately, directly from a designer, was these tools for teaching were designed for engagement, not effectiveness. So yes, do they make the kids stare at the screen and kind of stay with it? They do. But is it proven that they made them better at math? Did they learn reading and writing better? No, they didn't even test for it. They just wanted to get into that school and here's the software and look how beautiful it is and trust us. We're from Silicon Valley. So that was a big mistake. So it was a huge money grab by the tech industry. And it's not working.
Yeah.
The scores, reading and math scores, are down. So all this massive influx of technology has not paid off. So there are still benefits that still exist from having a real live teacher in the classroom and teaching off screens, especially reading on paper and writing with a pen on paper leads to better comprehension, better retention of information, better attention, and better focus. And so, yes, am I just tilting at windmills that we can get back to this? Well, we're going to think about that. These are ways you might be able to restore academic success in a school. Bring back the computer lab. Contain the screens to where they can learn skills like video editing and word processing and that sort of thing. No smartphones bell to bell. So that means that lock them away, do something. But when a kid shows up with a smartphone, lock it away. There's no reason to have it. And then they can get it back at the end of the day. If the parent has even allowed the kid to have a smartphone. Every kid doesn't have to have a smartphone. And then paper books. Like paper books. So paper books are so far gone. They're not even on budgets anymore. It's just the laptops and the software and everything like that. Well, guess what? Is the pendulum swinging back? That's a question, actually. And Sweden, I think last week or recently, they're going back to paper. And they're talking about this. We in Sweden, we're in Scandinavia. We never like to be thought of as old school. Well, we don't think we're old school. We actually think we're very modern. And we think our kids are going to learn a lot better and read more carefully and retain more if they switch to paper. So it's time to reassess in the United States. There's a tremendous amount of pressure because the technology is still considered cool, and modern and everything, even though the scores continue to slide. So how do you begin the conversation? Well, there's a new resource I want to tell you about. It's called the Screens and Learning Action Kit. And there are 13 fact and action sheets where you can begin to even have a conversation in a school about technology, that you can take a step forward and engage in at least thinking, have these things been proven? Is there any evidence that they work? Can we balance during the day and have more paper books? Can we get the paper books back? Getting on a committee to look at, can you get paper books back? So these fact and action sheets include how to opt out of ed tech. Guess what? There are a few very brave parents in this United States of America who are bringing in a piece of paper and they're saying, we want to opt out. And some of them are being successful. Talking to parents and schools about having a phone-free policy. That's also one of these fact and action sheets. Stopping social media use for school communication. As everyone on this call probably knows, with this new administration, Facebook has stopped their content moderation. They're not going to let the audience kind of figure out if there's something bad or dangerous. This is a really horrible development. Much more crap is going to be on there than even has been. Terrible, terrible things. And some schools are still using Facebook to communicate with students and their families. So you can talk to the school about, can you please not use Facebook anymore to communicate? And people can be very successful with this one, actually. Talking to school about student data privacy. Unfortunately, some of our kids might have to step up and start the committee to be like, okay, schools, are you even looking at where the data goes? Are you wiping the data at the end of the year? That's a new thing that enlightened schools have started to do. And then there's another sheet on what AI in schools can and cannot do. It talks about the pros and cons of what AI is used for and what can be useful. So for us on this call, foundations of learning, that's fact and action sheet number 1. So just what we just talked about earlier, and this is our last, second last. This movement is important for learning. It engages the limbic system and it engages the body. Touch is important for learning as well. So right now I'm talking for very, very learning, very early foundations of learning. So when we're playing with our grandkids, moving around is great. Touching them when we're reading books, connection, that means paying attention and being responsive to them. And then being out in nature, what we talked about, nature provides a calming environment. And the person that wrote this fact and action sheet, she's from Canada, she's very into nature. And I know that's hard for schools to incorporate nature, but at least having some recess during the day, if not a couple times during the day, at least. So to us, those foundations of learning are play. And so I say, let's play. It's not very hard, but it's super, super good for them. So anyway, that's my little lesson on ed tech.
Jenny, what are those fact and action sheets? What are there? There's 13 of them, and
yeah, there are 13 individual PDFs.
And so you go online, or where would we find them?
I am happy to send a link after this call for people to find them.
That'd be great.
Okay.
You find them on there's a group called the Screen Time Action Network, and they have the facts and action sheets right there, and you just download them for free.
Yeah. Okay. No,
Jenny,
that'd be
what
good.
is your sense of teaching cursive anymore? Is it
I
still
was gonna ask the same
commonplace,
thing.
or is it
They're
going
not
to
even
the
they're
dinosaur?
not teaching cursive anymore. Most
They don't?
right? They're teaching printing, but not cursive. Is that?
Yeah, a lot of them are not teaching cursive anymore, and my sense is that it is very powerful to be able to communicate, to write on paper. Now, I don't really know the direct comparison between printing and cursive. So I'm, of course, a big cursive fan, and I think it's great if they can read cursive and printing.
Yeah.
So I think that some schools have not thrown it away, but I think most public schools have. And what's kind of sad, I heard from some upper level, high muckety muck president of a university, he used to write little notes to his best students on a note in cursive. He found that they can't read it anymore. He's not giving the notes to college students. So it's like, dang, that really is, to me, that's very upsetting. But that's why maybe we can have our last few minutes can be talking about what can we do? Because I'd like to march in there to the school myself. But, we're a step away from actually making change in our children's school. But you guys were still interested in it, and that's why I got that little presentation together.
Well, we can
Thank you,
pass these
first of
things
all.
on. I mean, in a kind of in a proactive way, and just say, hey, listen, this is your child, but you might find this interesting, those kind of things. You don't You don't obviously dictate it, but
Yeah, and especially if you see that there are problems. There are crazy ways they're teaching reading these days, probably supplemented by software. And it's like a fill in the blank. It's like the dog blank outside, and it's like fill in the blank. And the kids they don't have enough knowledge about spelling or verbs or anything to like fill in the blank. And do you know how incredibly frustrating that would be to like have to try to bring up some answer that's not even there? There's no foundation for the reading. So there have been some really bad reading theories that have been tried lately, and that's one of the reasons the reading comprehension is way down. But if we are watching and seeing this real struggle with reading, we may want to bring up, well, what kind of software are they using? How are they reading any books like on paper? I suppose we could ask those kinds of questions, and then we could provide, one of these fact and action sheets if needed. So that might be something we can do. And then also do, Terry, reading, instilling in these kids a love of reading. Reading has kind of almost been eliminated in kids middle school and high school that have smartphones, like reading out of books and fiction. So if we could instill that in them with help instill when they're little, so they get excited about paper books, that may continue as they get older, which would be.
I wonder, I mean, and I'm guessing this is true for everybody on this call. The love of reading has kind of been passed down generationally. I mean, one of my earliest memories is my mom buying the Dr. Seuss books. And I know our daughters all love to read. And it's because we read with them for quite a long days. For much grief as it is taken, the Harry Potter series was a big deal for me as a father of daughters to have a point of commonality with my daughters to read, when they were in elementary and even junior high school, because and I loved the books. I loved the creativity of them. I loved the heroic message of a kid who's an outsider. And we read them all. And I watch that now as, this one daughter, absolutely, her daughter's room is filled with books. And I can't help but believe it's just something you hope more people pass on.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you've got Montessori school as an option for kids, like if your kids are looking at schools and I mean, it's much of what we're talking about here is that the curriculum addresses things on recognizing that kids learn tactily and they learn visually, they learn through all of their senses. And there isn't technology in those classrooms. It's all hands-on learning and learning from nature. And the middle school curriculum that my kids had was almost entirely like literature based. They were better read at the end of 6th grade than I was at the end of Notre Dame, because and they all are like voracious readers. And so I was blessed to have what I wanted to be doing with them, like on steroids in the school that they were in the Montessori school that they were in. That's not always available, but
It's so interesting, having spent 30 years in the toy business, and 12 of them at Fisher Price, which is really the sweet spot for all these things that we're talking about here.
yes.
If back when we were, young parents, everybody had Fisher Price. I mean, it was like a mainstay. And not only did you have, the toys, but you also had, you had the baby gear and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But with the advent of screens, if you talk to parents now, you ask them about Fisher Price, they'll say something like, Yeah, I think we have. Do we have a couple? I think we have a couple Fisher Price things, don't we? You know, they're not. It's not anywhere near what it used to be, because gone is the kind of the importance of that tactile,
Mhm.
hands-on play. You know, the little people, the farm, all those kind of things that were the shape sorters. All that stuff was so important, and now people have gone to screens as you know, kind of, and as you pointed out, Jenny, they're, you know, developmentally inappropriate for certainly kids under 2,
Yeah.
according to the American Society of Pediatrics. So,
Right. Well, I have a list of toys if you'd like to see it for children under 1, basically 18 months, and they're all physical toys and they're really fun. And of course, shape sorter, rings, that sort of thing.
yes, yeah, Rocket Stack.
And I'm sorry they're not all from Fisher Price. One of them is like,
Okay.
but a number of them are. So I could share that with you guys. But I think that our kids have to understand that the houses, it's good for your house to be messy. So I hope kids have that the parents aren't all Instagram conscious, like their house has to look beautiful and it can't be messy, because I think that having those rings around the floor and the Legos and everything else, that's a sign of brain development rather than brain truncation, which can happen with the screens. So I know that, Meg, do you have some old toys around your house by any chance?
Oh, I absolutely do.
Uh-huh.
And they are, I am within eyesight of the easel, the Fisher Price easel that
You
my children had.
Wow.
They said,
The
Mom,
blue and the yellow one, was it blue and yellow?
Uh-oh, we might get a tour of you.
That easel was so, you couldn't destroy that thing. It was
can you see it?
Good old plastic.
yes, blue and yellow, yes.
Oh, look at that. It's beautiful.
It's right there. And I could take you downstairs to
man.
many other toys.
Makes
My
my
kids are
day.
like,
Makes
Mother,
my
your
day.
attic
Yeah.
is like a damn clown car. You just keep coming down with stuff. He's like, oh,
Exactly.
did you not get rid of anything? And I said, a girl can dream and look, dreams come true.
Right.
I got the little horse that you sit on and scoot along the floor in.
Ooh.
I've got at least 3 of the little people house. I've got the house, the tree, the tree that goes up and down, and
Yeah.
the barn.
The barn,
Oh,
the
wow.
barn is
The
and then
barn is, you know, a staple, and it was such a great
I could take you down to the playroom.
mhm.
to see it sometime. But I'm thrilled. That's great. That's great.
Oh yeah, they cannot
Same
be
here.
destroyed.
Same here. The airplane was out last week, and
Oh, the airplane was awesome.
the little people
It
you can
was awesome. Yep.
So you can still find some of those. Some of our kids I have to really clean them up, or else I have to pull them out when the parents aren't around if they're not pristine and all clean. But you can clean them up. So you could probably find some in
Jenny, dishwasher.
dishwasher. Well, I don't
Yeah.
want the paper parts to come
Well,
off.
if they've got paper parts, you got to do, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
But at the really young ages, we would try, like under 3, we would try not to use any paper or stickers or anything like
Oh,
that. It
okay.
was all painting that wouldn't come off, but you know,
Yeah, I can't
above
remember
grade
what
6.
I'm thinking of with a paper. So that might be unfair. I might be thinking of an older
Most
kid.
of little people has very little paper, and it's
Mhm.
not stuff that the kids actively play with. So
So so that's great. So that's another thing, Terry, that you could maybe go to yard sales and pick up some new toys that your granddaughter's never seen before, and then play with them. They have a new kind now. There's like a magneto things where you get they're magnetized shapes, magnetiles, I think it's called, and you can build houses and airplanes and things, and they just stick together with magnets. So that's kind of a new thing, kind of a variation on the Lego, but it has to do with magnets. So that's pretty cool, and so I enjoy the toys and
Lego was the bane of my existence because they competed with
oh
us on so many things. But man, it's hard to imagine a more perfect toy than
Right.
Lego.
Right.
It's got everything. It's got the tactile feel. It's got the logical following of, you know, a plan to build something. It's got the imagination play once it's built. It's just it's a gold mine of stuff. It
And you
really-
can like literally create anything with it, you know?
yeah.
And
that's
that's-
the other
And
thing.
it can
The
be whatever you want it
open-endedness
to be.
of it is just,
It's open-ended.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the backyard, Terry. Eventually, what they found is that if kids like loose parts, in other words, if there's sticks and a hay bale and like some rocks or something, if you leave the child to their kind of own device, and the two of them especially, they start building stuff with them, even outdoors. So it's kind of nice to just have these loose parts that are out in the back that they can work with, because that's the sort of the thing about the Lego, but they're all the same shape. They're all bricks, but that's an indoor loose parts situation. So those are always great open-ended toys, as Jerry said. So yeah, so that's good. In these, so on April 23rd, I've told these guys before, I'm in an international group of developmental specialists that are trying to create awareness about new research that's showing that it can be very detrimental to have children exposed to hours or prolonged screen time under age 2. And one of the things is that we put in there for government agencies to be aware of. So we have one for government agencies, one for healthcare providers like pediatricians, one for parents, these awareness alerts. And one is toy libraries. I've just started discovering toy libraries, but they exist in this country too. And you go and you just take out toys. And that could be tremendously fun. I've never been in one myself, but they're around this country. And so that's a really cool thing too, where you don't have to buy any toys.
yeah.
Jenny, I was about to share, last August when I was out in Denver,
Mhm.
when I was babysitting for Sloan, and parenthetically, we did more things. You know how you live in a city and you tell people, I've never actually been to all the sites that your city has because I'm always going to go to them next year. We went to the zoo, we went to the park, we went to the aquarium, we went to the museum. But we also went to the library.
Yeah.
And in the corner of the library, there was a dedicated children's play corner. And my daughter said, go there. Believe me, you won't have to do anything the rest of the afternoon. And it was fascinating because I played with her a little bit, but there were other little boys and girls, and they just kind of got into it and they figured out sharing and playing with. And the word before tactile was really resonant because it was putting things together and playing with stuff and really social. You know, and there I am, the 68-year-old grandpa with the 30-something mothers watching as their kids are playing, you know. But it was exactly that point where there was something kind of legitimately magical about just what happens when you know, and you're watching like imaginations completely untethered because whatever they're picking up, it's whatever they want it to be.
Yeah.
And they've done some research on this. I like to say that we teach them to have short attention spans. They have found that when kids get into imaginary play at about age 2.5, 3, it can take them a half an hour to assess the situation, figure out what they're dealing with, toys, people. It takes about 30 minutes for them even to settle into an imagination state. And so when we're, tapping our flipper and like, well, we got to leave now, we're doing them a disservice. And so we have to remember that too, is like, can we just not be impatient and just let it play out as Meg says? She sees Otto and she's like, what's going to happen today?
Yeah.
And so we need to give them time. And so that's really important and a wonderful thing you did, Terry. That sounds like fun. I mean, I know the hours can get long, but
It was great.
okay.
It was a hoot.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you guys have seen Little Passports, but those are interesting. You get once a month, you get a packet about rocks and, glaciers. And another one is, some other natural phenomenon, fires and volcanoes, and then you have musical instruments of the world. It's good. And there's a puzzle every time. And my cousin gave it to my daughter for Cooper, and darn it, that little kid, talk about attention spans. He did 8 puzzles in a row from his little passport packets. I'm like, I have never done 8 puzzles in a row. I don't have the attention span, but I sat there with him and he did it. He's 3 years old. So we teach them to have short attention spans. Let's remember that. So anyway, here we are. We've been talking for a while. So if nobody showed up today, this was going to be the end, and I was going to be, okay, perfect. Nobody shows up. There aren't going to be any more grandparent groups. But you did show up, and I know there were people that would have liked to have been here. Jerry Cicada was pretty irritated that I didn't pick his night. So I was like, well, he wasn't really irritated, but he's like, darn it, why? I have something to do that night. And I'm like, it's a 3-way tie. I had to kind of pick one. Maybe it was a flip of a triangle or something to make it happen. But
you should just say to him, well, Jerry and Terry said yes, so I just figured we're not worried about Cicada. I mean, like,
Jerry, get your priorities in order.
yeah, I mean, it's like,
Jerry watches the video and he can see that you said that.
oh, good. Hi, Jerry.
Yeah.
He's one of our 4 Jerrys in the class, so we're just, and we have a Jarence too. So.
I tried to get the other one to come too, but I don't think we'll ever get Castellini to show up.
Yeah.
But he's kind of why we're here in the first place. Well, you two, of course, are the reason why we're here.
Well, Jerry and Barb helped.
It's great. It was such a wonderful opportunity. So I don't know. I mean, should we try to do this again in a couple months, or should we just say it's been good times? Or
I love it, and I want to thank you, Jenny, for all the work you put in. I mean, this is really, I think, beneficial, personally speaking. So even if it just feels like
I
we're
just
chatting,
think it's great sharing these ideas too. I mean, one of the things I'm taking away is this whole idea of time. Just making the time, as they say now, making the space, but just make the time and just know that you're going to be here for a while and figure out how to make the most of that block of time. Hadn't really thought of it. And,
and it's
away
fluid.
That and the taking the time to make a lesson out of something. I love that idea.
And I'm just sensitized, Jenny, that this is so fluid with the older they get and the call it the stages they're going to go through. Jerry, what you're going to see in the next, call it 18 months, 24 months is very different from the next 24 months for me, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the issues and the challenges and the attention spans and
yeah, and it's and as Meg says, it's magical. I remember, and that's why I'm trying to savor the time that we're together. Like I have a video that I took of Cooper pre-lingual. We were feeding the dog and he wanted to put the top on the kibble box. Mm-hmm. And I would watch him. He would scramble. He would like crawl over and he'd go, mm-hmm. He was pre-lingual. We were having a full conversation with him pointing and my doing like the other direction. And, and I love it. I'm going to have to look at it again, but he's so far beyond that. So it was really so wonderful to have that little stage right there. Mm-hmm. And now he's making puzzles. So, there's a new thing that he's doing. Yeah. So it's never a dull moment. So anyway, but it's really a pleasure to talk to you guys. Cause yes, you're coming out, you're pointing, making good points and it's wonderful to learn from you. So I'm thinking we waited about 3 months last time. I'm going to be free more like in the June, July. Is it really a waste to do it in the summer? Is that foolhardy? It might be. I mean, if we're all in all these different directions in June, July.
I think July tends to be tough, just because it's kind of that month, right? For people that have.
That's when summer really gets into gear. Yeah.
Yeah. Like 4th of July. And so I think if we shot for June, because otherwise you're looking quite a bit later.
Yeah, I think we're looking at September, probably.
Yeah.
What do you think, Terry?
I'm, as a retiree, time has no meaning to me anymore.
I'm not retired yet. I've got this huge thing to do in April, May. And so I guess if I can get through that, that'll be okay. I'm scared shitless. I tell you the truth, because I've energized these people from all these countries, and it's like we're sort of building the airplane as we're flying, and it's
Yeah.
like, so I'm worried. But anyway,
Jerry will know this, but I've got a 100th birthday party to throw for my mother in May. So,
oh wow.
so
Oh,
that's
fabulous.
June will be, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
He is amazing. And it's Jane and I were just talking about this yesterday. It's May 27th, did you say? Is that
May
the name?
25th.
25th. Okay. So I know I have it written down somewhere, but Terry's mother is amazing.
Oh, that is wonderful. Do you
Wow.
live in the same town as she does?
No, she's 3 hours west of us in Davenport, Iowa.
Okay.
I mean, truth be told, she's fine, but it's sad because she's literally last man standing.
Yeah.
In her family and her friends. She's in an assisted living. And she just, she's not really interested in making new friends.
Mhm.
She's a little chagrined, I guess is probably the polite way to put it, that her health is as good because she's very strong Catholic. She believes everybody's waiting for her on the other side. And of her four sons, two are in California, one's in Philadelphia. And so she gets to see us maybe a couple times a year. But,
Mhm.
she's like, well, God doesn't have my room ready yet. And she's not depressed. She's just sort of pragmatic. But, there's not a lot of motivation for living. But she's hanging in there, and her health is irritatingly good to her.
Is she looking forward to the party? Is she cool that you're gonna be
Oh
bringing?
yeah. In fact, I
Okay,
just
that's
came
great.
back because I have to help her do her taxes every year.
Oh.
So I just got back literally yesterday, and yeah, she's excited. Um, and she's like, well, this is probably the last time people will see me before my wake. I'm like, well, Mom, you're actually not showing any evidence of dying. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. We'll definitely get in. We'll wait till after May is passed, and then we'll see if we can get it together. I don't know about these doodle polls. I don't know if it's helpful for me to just pick a date and say who can be there, or actually see if there's some sort of mutually. Do you have a sense for that?
If you do it far enough in advance and you pick kind of like, obviously like Friday and Saturdays and even Sundays probably aren't great days, but midweek where people have, less scheduled and stuff like that. And that way they can put it on their calendar and
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is 8 o'clock at night is pretty good? It's probably 7 for some of you guys.
Perfect. Yep. Perfect for me.
No, it's perfect.
Good. All right. Well, I'm going to put it at the end of May, be like, okay, look at your calendar and see. So yeah, okay. If you want to hang in there, we'll hang in there.
We'll hang in there. That'd be great. And good luck with all you got going there.
Yes,
Look with
indeed.
your event.
It'll be great. You'll do great.
I might share if you want to. We've developed this parent info card for when you find out you're expecting or have a new baby, and it talks about how awesome your life can be if you kind of manage the screen. So it's a new sort of concept for parents to be able to swallow. So if you want to, I can send that along too.
Sure.
Be great.
Okay,
Be
cool. All right, and you saw I shared in the chat the link for the.
Oh, you did?
great.
I did. However, worry not. I'll send it out in an email.
Oh, I see. Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, and you click on it and it'll go right there right now.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfy Worfy. Oh,
It was great seeing you guys. I'll
Thank
keep
you
on
again
here
for
till you
doing
click
this.
on it. We'll stick here till if you actually click on it, because I hate it when at the end of the meeting, you're like, and then boom, meeting's over. You can't click on anything. So Yeah,
All right. Yep, I bookmarked
I
it.
got it. Yep.
excellent. Okay, cool. All
All
right, guys.
right.
Jenny,
Thanks,
we
gang.
really appreciate your doing this.
Thanks
Oh,
a bunch.
thank you for coming.
Everybody. All right.
Have a
Take
good
care.
trip, Tara. See you,
Yep.
Meg. Great to see
Yeah,
See you,
you.
bud.
good to see you too.
Okay,
Okay. Bye-bye.
guys.
Adios.
There he goes.